parking management in Harare dates back to the Salisbury era. Albeit parking was a preserve for the few who were allowed to park in Salisbury CBD, which I can comfortably call Harare CBD today. Maybe I also just need to share a little historical perspective as to why parking management, because we have met a lot of questions, we have seen a lot of people arguing in terms of the need for parking management. However, I feel that more than any other city in Africa or in the world, Harare needs parking management. If your recollection serves you well, Harare has not changed much in terms of the structure of the city or of our streets, and in terms of the capacity of parking spaces in Harare, it hasn't changed much even from the pre-independence era. However, what we have noticed over the years, especially in recent times, is the inundation and growth of vehicle population in the city. It's not a secret that our roads are stressed in terms of handling traffic volumes as people are coming in the city, but more so as people try to park in the city. And therefore, there is a case for managing the parking base in light of the vehicle population that is currently obtaining in our cities, and particularly in the capital, Harare. And therefore, council has activated a proper parking management model, which started, of course, in 2009 when council engaged Easy Park, or should I say Easy World. They engaged a South African company called Easy World of South Africa to form a joint venture company called Easy Park to manage parking in Harare CBD. Easy Park, yes, they came on board and they managed parking for some time, since from 2009 to around about 2012. Council had issues with the joint venture, and in its wisdom, thought they could also run parking through their own entity. So that saw the creation and the birth of city parking in 2012, and city parking then started operating in January 2013. So as we speak right now, we are celebrating, and we continue to celebrate our 10th anniversary since 2013. So that is the little background to the formation of city parking. So since city parking started operating in 2013, I've already highlighted that it's a council owned entity, a parastatal or a council, if you so wish, to put it that way. So I've clarified that there is no private equity in city parking whatsoever. And in terms of corporate governance issues, that is the structure of city parking. I will also share the organogram for city parking. And for the avoidance of doubt, these are teething issues that I thought I should highlight before perhaps we delve much into the presentation. City parking is up to date with its annual external audits, and has had unqualified reports since 2013. And all corporate obligations are met timelessly. We are a tax-paying organization. We are a compliant statutory entity that is run on sound corporate governance. And we have since registered our footprints in the country in terms of the cities that we manage. Of course, we started from the capital, Harare, and then we have gone into Gweru since April 2021. We are operating in Gweru. We have also coming projects that are on that have come on board. We have already signed contracts with Shirugwe. We have signed contracts with the Byte Bridge and of course Mashingo. And these are upcoming projects. It's a testament to how we have managed to turn parking business into an efficient and a profitable business. I have to state that currently almost all local authorities that are managing parking on their own without necessarily creating some SPUs of some sort are running parking at a loss. And a lot of local authorities are quoting us to seek partnerships, having witnessed the kind of efficiency in parking management owing to obviously the robust ICT-driven systems that we internally develop here at City Parking. So parking management is done in terms of the law, in terms of the Harare parking bylaws. And I believe we'll share the presentation with you and also the full list of both the traffic and parking bylaws that affect the drivers in Harare. But I've listed a few parking bylaws that I've summarized here, which I believe are relevant on a daily basis in terms of how parking management is run in Harare. Firstly, we have what we call the prepaid parking bylaw. The prepaid parking bylaw. And if you can allow me to just refer to the detailed bylaw, it's referenced as the Harare Prepaid Parking Disc Bylaw of 2000. And it states that, okay, Code 90 of the Municipal Code, Section 7A, describes the offense as failure to display a valid parking disc. It makes it an offense to fail to display a valid parking disc. And also Section 7.1b speaks about continued parking on expired parking disc. So it is a legal requirement that drivers park their vehicles properly in parking bays, and it is also a legal requirement that parking is paid in advance. So that's the meaning of prepaid parking bylaw. It means before leaving your vehicle, parking has to be paid, and you display your valid parking ticket. However, because of change in technology, and you will notice as we proceed with the presentation that we have sought to amend the parking bylaw, this particular bylaw, so that it allows recognition of electronic parking discs, seeing that we are going towards e-tickets and we are going towards paperless parking transactions. So I think the bylaw is being amended already to align to technological advancements. We have the issue of obstruction. If you park your vehicle obstructing traffic, it is an offense when you park in Harare. Also, washing your car in parking bays, whether it's you who is washing the vehicle or you assign someone to wash your vehicle, as long as it's in parking places or in parking bays, it's not allowed. There are a lot of explanations that come with that. As you know that the chemicals that are used in washing vehicles also erodes the road markings and the bay markings. Expired vehicle license, your Zinara license. If you park your vehicle with an expired vehicle license or without displaying a valid vehicle license, it's a violation of Harare traffic and parking bylaws. I think you'd understand that historically, council actually used to collect vehicle licenses, and the enforcement element continues to happen. And then parking over lines. Parking over lines. If you park your vehicle and you are straddling the lines of parking, it is an offense. Kutsika a line reparking or kupaka wakacharika those lines of parking. It is an offense. Displaying for sale sign. Yes. So if you are selling your vehicle and you have a sticker that says for sale, it is an offense. In terms of town planning, we have places that are designated for car sale. So it is not permissible to display a for sale vehicle in parking bays. Parking unauthorized motor vehicle in reserved bay. As you drive around the city, you are going to note that there are parking bays that are marked in yellow, denoted reserved bay. The law allows reservation of parking bays, particularly to diplomatic missions and government departments. And if you park your vehicle without permission in those reserved bays, you may be claimed for doing so. It's a violation of the Harare traffic and parking bylaws. And also parking in loading and offloading bays is an offense. There are designated loading and offloading bays in Harare and indeed in other cities, which are normally marked in yellow and written loading, offloading bay. It is not a normal parking bay. It's strictly for loading and offloading of vehicles. So please be guided as well in terms of that. Parking in designated bus stops. We have a lot of bus stops or bus ranks also in Harare CBD. We have Copacabana, 4th Street, and we have bus stops along Jason Moy and other streets, which are clearly denoted or marked as bus stop. It is an offense to park your vehicle in a bus stop because it's meant for that particular purpose only. And also parking in no parking or no stopping zones. I think some of these bylaws also clearly dovetail with the provisions of the Highway Code. So under normal circumstances, every driver understands these bylaws as they are. So in terms of our operations model, we have a two-tier service system where we have on-street parking and we have off-street parking. On-street parking is mainly for casual parking, or should I say for transactional parking, where you are just parking to conduct a certain business and you leave. And we regulate this also by charging a fee that allows you to park, a fee that is affordable, but that you cannot consistently pay. I've heard people ask and say, is it possible that I park for, I pay $8 every day in a parking bay? It is not, it is possible, yes, but we don't encourage people to park 8 hours every day in a parking bay. Those bays are meant for transactional parking only. And if you want to park, suppose you work in a Harare CBD and you want to park on a daily basis, we encourage you to park and make use of our parkades and parking lots where we have deliberately lowered the parking fee. For example, whereas it costs you a minimum of 144 to park on the street on a monthly basis, at our parkades we charge a minimum of $60 to park for the whole month. So ideally, we are saying the parkades are our breathing spaces for on-street pressures. So anyone who works in Harare CBD can make use of the affordable, safe, secure parkades and parking lots as such. But in terms of on-street parking, you have seen our parking staff on the street. We deploy parking marshals to save the motoring public, to collect the parking fees and make it easy to comply with the provisions of the Harare prepaid parking disc bylaw. That is to pay for parking. So we deploy our parking marshals, and our parking marshals are armed with the swipe machines. They also have merchant codes for EcoCash. We are still waiting for Net1 to come on board. We have been engaging them over the years, and I think it is only right that they come on board because their clients are always asking us to say, why don't you have Net1? But currently we have EcoCash, we have Swipe, and we are expecting also Omari to come on board. Apart from marshals, we have reserved bays on the streets. We have reserved bays on the streets. I think I've highlighted above that government departments are allocated a maximum of 6 reserved bays per government department where they are supposed to park their ministry vehicles. And if they have any excess vehicles, they are required to pay. And we also have loading and offloading bays in terms of our on-street parking. I've highlighted how the loading and offloading bays are supposed to be used for that sole purpose. And because of technological advancements that I've highlighted before, and also coming from the feedback which we collect from our customers, we have been accused several times that your parking marshals are not visible, they are not readily available to serve. And we have decided to address that challenge in a two-pronged solution. First of all, we have instituted a grace period model whereby we have said, if you park and you haven't paid, you are given 15 minutes grace period before you can get claimed. And the 15-minute grace period is from the time our parking attendant turns to you. So they have to put a receipt first to show that, to notify you that we have attended your vehicle and that we are giving you 15 minutes to comply. And after the 15 minutes lapses, obviously enforcement comes into play. But if you have paid for parking, suppose you pay at 9 o'clock and your ticket expires at 10 o'clock, we give you a grace period of 30 minutes. Acknowledging and appreciating that you are a compliant customer, we give you a longer grace period to allow you to come back and make a top-up. However, we have gone further and said, let's introduce self-service payment platform to deal with the problem of ambushing drivers. You can now pay for parking on your own without the intervention or assistance of the parking marshal. We have 2 platforms. for now, which is the star 192 hash platform, where you can pay via EcoCash on your own, in the comfort of your office or in your car, whatever the case, but without the assistance of the parking marshal. If you dial that code, it then gives you prompts which you can follow and until you make your parking fee payment. We also have introduced a WhatsApp chatbot, which we have codenamed Mashi, the Sweet Marshal. Mashi, it's a shortcut for Marshal. It's a virtual parking marshal that allows you to pay for parking on WhatsApp. And that is the number 0719 515 601. You just save that number in your phone and you go on WhatsApp on that number and you say hi. It then welcomes you by your name, and it then gives you options as to what you want to do. Either you want to pay for parking, you want to check your vehicle status. I know there are some with parking areas. It can also show you quite a bit of information, general in terms of parking. So on this platform now, we have embedded EcoCash payments, but most importantly, Zim Switch has come on board, and you can now pay for parking using your bank, using your Zim Switch account. And Omar is also coming on board on this platform. And again, it's a call to Net1 to also join in and come on our platforms. It's very efficient. Once you make your payment, it sends you an e-ticket, a PDF e-ticket, which you can keep. You don't need to display or print it. Once you pay using self-service, anyone who queries our system or your vehicle in our system can see that you are paid up. And then I've already stated that parking is managed in terms of the law, and therefore non-compliance attracts enforcement. Non-compliance attracts enforcement. And in terms of the Harare traffic and parking bylaws, the law authorizes city parking to actually immobilize a vehicle, an offending vehicle, to clamp the vehicle and charge a prescribed penalty. Prescribed in terms of the law, in terms of Harare City Council budget processes. So each year, City of Harare gazettes a prescribed penalty for the offenses that I've highlighted. So the current fee structure for enforcement fees is $57. $57. So if you don't pay for parking, if you commit any of the offenses, you are claimed, and a $57 ticket is issued to you. We have an enforcement team, a city parking enforcement team, which who are normally dressed in orange attire. I know that you have seen also the gray uniformed enforcers, which are basically City of Harare traffic enforcement. We work closely with them, though we enforce different sections of the bylaw. Our team specifically enforces the municipal code 90 and 91. That is failure to display valid parking ticket and continued parking on expired disc. Whereas the City of Harare traffic enforcement, which you can identify with the gray uniforms, then enforces the whole litany of bylaws from code 1 up to code 90 up to code 89. So that is it in terms of enforcement. So in terms of our self-service payment platforms, I will not dwell on this. I've already stated that you can pay for parking using *192 hash, and that is the platform there. And I've already highlighted in terms of the WhatsApp chatbot. And this is how you can use the WhatsApp chatbot. You save the number in your phone, you say hi on WhatsApp, and you follow the prompts. It also gives you information on parking tariff, on parkades, and your vehicle status. We have a new baby on board in terms of our virtual prepaid disc, which is payable on a monthly basis. This is coming on board because of the feedback that we've gotten from customers, especially corporate customers, who say that we cannot pay for parking on the go. Maybe in terms of petty cash management, it can be a challenge. We have introduced a virtual prepaid disc. So what you do is you engage our office and you give us a list of vehicles that you would want to prepay, and you make the payment of $144 per month per vehicle, and we enter the vehicles in our system. You are not going to get any physical thing to display on your dashboard. It's a virtual prepaid parking disc. So please come on board. You can make use of this facility and make sure that your vehicles are not inconvenienced. This is not just a preserve for corporates. Even individuals can come on board on this platform as well. There are other projects that we have embarked on, either CSR projects or business expansion projects. We have responded to a call by council to partner in terms of referral stadium refurbishments, and you can see what we have done to referral. Those who have recently passed by Rufaro Stadium, you can see that there's a transformation in terms of the parking area and also in terms of the perimeter wall. This was city parking responding to a call by council to partner them in terms of renovations at Rufaro Stadium. This was a strategic partnership. We saw an opportunity in terms of expanding parking facilities. If you look around Mbare, there is no proper parking facility. So if you visit Mbare Msika, if you visit Mbare bus terminal, you realize that there were challenges with proper parking there. And we saw that it's an opportunity for us to provide parking to Harare residents, particularly those who visit Mbare. But Mbare is not very far from the CBD. It's also a breather for Harare CBD. Someone can park at Rufaro Stadium parking and commute to town. We charge 50 cents per hour at Rufaro Stadium and $1 for those big trucks that park there at Rufaro Stadium. But also for match days, the fees will be communicated in due course. However, you will notice as well that on the perimeter wall, we have also put up small shops to accommodate the vendors or the Mbare small businesses that used to sell on the roads. And the small shops are already functional and they are already open, including the parking lot. It's already functional. It's already open for public use. We have taken up the responsibility that was formally done by council in terms of road markings and parking bay markings. Since the last quarter of last year, I think some of you have noticed that we have marked all CBD roads have been marked in the last quarter of 2023. Samora Machel was not properly marked. Robert Mugabe. I'm just highlighting the roads that were clearly not marked at all. Robert Mugabe was just resurfaced and not marked, and now it's properly marked. And we are going to be doing this on a routine basis, at least twice a year. And we have received the feedback, positive feedback on this development, but perhaps some have highlighted in terms of the quality of the paint, which is what we are going to address. And in some of the instances, there were issues with bay sizes and all that, and all those issues are being taken care of and will be resolved. We have also partnered with council. We are a company that works from the streets, and obviously the environment that we are working in matters. And as such, we have sought to install some on-street bins so that we help each other with litter management, with waste management. So you are going to notice that there are bins that we have installed in Harare CBD. But maybe before I come to the end of my presentation, I know there's a slide that I might have skipped that speaks to the structure, to the governance structure of city parking. Council appoints a board to manage the affairs of city parking, and that is our structure there. We have the managing director who reports to the board. We have a management team, we have an executive team that reports to the managing director, and we have general staff there. So that is the structure of city parking. And I would like to thank you so much, Iben Mabunda, for allowing me to present on city parking. But most importantly, I would be glad if you can share. We are going to share the whole list of detailed parking bylaws. I just mentioned a few, but we have a whole list that we are happy to share. It's public information that is meant for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Francis, for such a rich presentation. So now we have learned about city parking, and we have got so much insights about the bylaws of city parking. So I don't know if to our viewers, anyone who has a question can raise a hand, and then they can unmute themselves and then present their questions directly to Mr. Francis.
There are some questions posted on the chat. Maybe you can go through them.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so let me start with the first question. Okay, so the question is saying, what's WhatsApp number again? So they're asking for the WhatsApp number. You said MASH.
Sorry. The first question is maybe I can ask it.
Okay, it's fine. You may proceed.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, it was on the 15 minutes grace period. What would be the evidence? Because I was claimed for just less than 6 minutes. I looked for a marshal, I couldn't see the marshal. I looked across, I couldn't see the marshal. Then I just went to drop a parcel. Less than 15 minutes, it was just dropping. Coming back, already there was the car was already claimed. So how do you then tell, or what will be the evidence that the marshal was here and the marshal took 15 minutes? Was it word against word?
Thank you, Mr. Andrew Mugari, for the question. I did mention that this is a measure to avoid ambush in terms of how our staff go about their business on a daily basis. So we understand that when you park and you say you have not seen a parking marshal, we require the parking marshal to attend the vehicle first. So the evidence is a notice on your dashboard in receipt format that shows a timestamp stating the time when the parking attended to your vehicle. So suppose you park at 9 a.m. And the parking marshal attends your vehicle at 10 past 9. When they put a notice on your vehicle, it's going to denote 10 past 9. And we start counting the grace period from the time that they attend you, not from the time you have parked your vehicle, from the time we attend your vehicle. So the receipt that they put, which is a notice, has a timestamp on it. And also, when they come to enforce and claim your vehicle, the receipt or the ticket has a timestamp as well. So that becomes now the evidence to say, have we observed the grace period or not? So in your case, it's easy because you have your reg number, which you can share, and then we can check in the system to say, was grace period observed or not? But we have made it a point that we observe grace period. It's our initiative, and we have no reason not to do so. In circumstances where we don't observe the grace period, we have a query resolution mechanism where you talk to our customer care agents and you are promptly assisted.
Okay, thanks. So in that case, when one comes back, there should be that initial notice to say the marshal was here and it was stamped, and you can easily see this. Yeah, unfortunately, I was not aware of that procedure. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome, sir. You're welcome. And I think there was a question regarding the WhatsApp chatbot number.
Yes, that's true.
Maybe without necessarily bringing back my presentation, the number is 0719. All right, let me just share the number on the messages here so that everyone can benefit.
You can also finish it because we had already typed the 0719.
0719 515 601. 0719 515 601. So that is the WhatsApp chatbot number.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Francis. We also have another question in the chat. Someone is saying, it's Bulungu, saying, sorry, I might have missed. So if I pay online using Mashi, do I get something to display in case I park and there is no marshal?
So once you pay using our self-service payment platforms, especially Mashi, it sends you or it gives you an e-ticket in PDF format, which also states the timestamps and the expiry of the ticket. It basically gives you the same details that are on the physical receipt. You do not need to display anything when you pay using the self-service payment platform. You don't need to worry about getting claimed, because when our claim guys come, the first thing that they do is to enter your vehicle in our system to check if you have paid. So once you make a payment via Mashi, we are able to retrieve or to see that payment in our system, and your vehicle will not be claimed. And one more thing, when you use our self-service payment platform, it gives you a reminder 5 minutes before the ticket expires. It sends you a reminder on your phone to say your ticket is about to expire, please top up. So, and you can top up from the comfort of your office or from wherever you are conducting your business without necessarily having to come back to your vehicle. So you don't need to be by your vehicle to pay for parking. As a matter of fact, as we are talking right now, I can make a parking fee payment for a vehicle that is in town. And whether you're in Bulawayo, Gweru, and someone asks you to pay for their parking in Harare, you can do so from whatever location. It's convenient like that.
Okay, thank you. There's also Godfrey Mutsatsa. You can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Dangwa. I wanted to find out, you said there's a grace period of 15 minutes before you can get claimed. So what if, say, you've done your business and then you are within those 15 minutes and you come back? Can you just remove your vehicle from the parking bay scot-free, or you are obliged to pay?
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. You are definitely obliged to pay, though there are people who have an affinity for non-compliance. And we have noticed as well that there are people who are treating the grace period as if it's free parking time. It's not free parking time. So in order to avert those kinds of perhaps incidences, we have said, if you park and we issue a notice and you ignore the notice, we issue another notice and you ignore the notice. If we get up to 3 notices, so literally if you have areas of 3 hours or $3, the next time you park, we do not afford you the grace period. You are no longer a good candidate for the grace period. So you can be claimed immediately because you are abusing the grace period facility. So the grace period is not free parking time. It's a time frame that we have said our customers, they need time to comply. Maybe they are doing bank to wallet, maybe they are looking for change, maybe they are having issues, or maybe they are on the phone. We should not rush to claim. Maybe they are looking, the parking marshal is saving someone else. So the grace period is actually time to allow you to pay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mandazawa. Thank you so much.
Zenzilen Love, you can proceed.
Okay, thank you. It's Zenzilen Love and another team Love. We are asking as government departments now doing business within the Harare CBD. We are getting claimed if you park, especially, we are from Zimra, is it? It's as if there is a war between Zimra and these ticketing guys. You don't give chance because at times we send the officers, should they be carrying money each time they move? What arrangements are there? Maybe prepayment arrangements that are there. Plus, we believe as the government entities, there must be mechanism of billing so that payments are done late. But what is currently doing Harare City Council is trigger happy to claim our vehicles. Also, I had a question, I think with one of our officers who had gone to CVR. They made the payment hoping they would finalize their issues within an hour. But barely 10 minutes after the expiry, the vehicle was towed. And there's no negotiation, there's no grace period given. Otherwise, the car is towed. The guy is threatened to tow the car and they demanded the payment there and there. So we are complaining to say we can't make life difficult for fellow government departments. We should have flexible methods of doing this business. I'm talking as a government entity, also talking as a citizen. Harare City Council is geared to employ more people to do the ticketing, but the service delivery, we are not doing much. But on this one where it's generating money, I think we are trigger happy on that one. That one I'm talking as a citizen. I submit if facilitated.
Okay, thank you so much, Zenzele. Maybe just to clarify that, yes, I did mention that we have a facility to prepay for parking, where you can pay for your vehicles on a monthly basis. And I'm going to show that on the screen right away. Please confirm if you can see my screen.
We are seeing the end of your slides.
Okay, so just a moment. Close it. Okay. Please confirm if you are now seeing the screen.
Yes,
Yes,
we can see.
we can see your screen.
Okay. So we have introduced, this is very recently, this is a recent service, recently introduced service, where we are saying you can prepay for your vehicle, and we issue a virtual prepaid disc at $144 per month. So you can make use of this platform to prepay for your vehicles in advance. You asked if your drivers are supposed to move around with cash every time. You can prepay your vehicle in advance to avoid inconveniences. I've stated that once you make a payment, you get a 30 minutes grace period. So you are not going to be claimed within 30 minutes of expiry of your ticket. It's a period that is assigned to appreciate those who are compliant, but also allow them to come back and pay. However, as I have highlighted, there is not even a need to come back and pay. You can pay from wherever you are. Any normal thinking corporate would surely not want to pick a fight with the Zimra. You would allow, you would agree with me, Zenzo. So it's certainly not a fight with the Zimra, but those are the prepayment methods that you can make use of to try and avoid that situation. And I hope I've answered you well.
Okay, another question from Second Muguyo, is saying, what is seat parking doing to increase the parking capacity, seeing vehicle population continues to increase on daily basis beyond the 1,970 parking arrangements which obtaining in Harare?
So, thank you. The city of Harare is the planning authority in terms of town planning. They are the planning authority. So they have, but we play a critical role in terms of shaping the discussion and the discourse. And already I can tell you that there are plans to put up more multi-story parking facilities, the parkades. There are plans to convert the 4th Street parking lot into a multi-story parking facility, either using brick and mortar or modern technology, which if you go on Google, China is using, Israel is using, India is already using stacked parking. So that's where we are going in terms of that. But I've made a fair comment and said that I think maybe the city also needs to kind of grow in terms of even the streets, in terms of to accommodate the vehicle population. And I think also the coming in of satellite cities like Mount Upton may ease pressure in terms of traffic on our roads. So I also stated that the coming in of Rufaro Stadium parking is also an opportunity to increase parking spaces in and around Harare CBD. But as mentioned again, that 4th Street parking lot, which is by corner George Lundika and 4th Street, is going to be converted into a multi-story parking buildings. There are a lot of other projects that I may not share now, but certainly council is attending to that as the planning authority.
Okay, going forward, I think Bulungu has also has raised their hand. You can go ahead.
Thank you so much, and thank you, ZNCC, for such a great opportunity. My name is Bonokle Buhlungu, representing a community of women called Empowered Women. My contribution goes to city parking. One, on if there isn't already a process that you guys are doing in terms of thorough orientation and grooming of your city park marshals. I think the previous months have seen a lot of videos circulating in terms of the reaction, the overreaction from both the marshals and the Zimbabwean citizens, leading to fights and things like that. So I think from the part of City Park, there is need to continuously groom your marshals on the ethics of operating as marshals, the language and how they should behave in the event that citizens then react violently to them. I think it's always okay to emphasize on the issue of retreating as they put their lives more at risk. You are just one marshal at a parking spot, and there's several citizens that are angry on the issue of parking, and when they react, definitely the damage is more on the marshals than on the citizens. Secondly, on your female marshals, I think they also need to be a way of protecting them. I witnessed a very sad citizen incident when the female marshal was now being called names and people were screaming at her, and it was just unbearable. I would rather propose, if it is possible, for you to give them, you know, when they have those machines where they can press a panic button or a response button when they feel overwhelmed by the citizens, so that others come to their aid and to their assistance. Otherwise, thank you for the work that you're doing. Thank you for clarifying on the laws. Some of the reactions we give as citizens are purely from an angle of not knowing. So thank you even for this initiative from ZNCC. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your contribution, and indeed for your feedback on the orientation and the grooming aspects. It's very true. We do have a continuous development program for our staff, and which is done biannually actually in terms of trainings on customer service, on PR, on grooming, etiquette, and other issues that we believe are key to ensuring improved quality of service. So we are hoping that our conduct when we deal with the public will improve. And in terms of protection of our employees, I think in light of the videos that you have given reference to, I would like to believe that we are first and foremost protected by the Constitution. We are enforcing and working legally and executing a legal mandate. And surely there is no need for violence and intimidation, which is quite regrettable, what we have seen in the last few weeks. And concerning specific issues, I should also share with you, colleagues, that the offenders, the perpetrators of the violence, were brought before the law and were convicted. They are currently serving their respective sentences. However, I would like to appeal and say that I think as a nation, we should find each other. As a city, we should find each other and understand that where we call for order, where we call for a trafficable city, it also in the same sentence calls for enforcement. And when we enforce, yes, we are expected to enforce with decorum, with decency, and with proper grooming and etiquette. And that is what we are going to do on our part. But I am appealing for everyone on this platform to say, let's communicate peace instead of hate. These are your children who are working on the streets. These are your brothers and sisters. I think there is room for reconciliation and for harmony. We are not out there to get each other or to hate each other. And therefore, I hope the situation can improve as we continue to engage and clarify issues to each other. And also as we continue to train and reorient our teams. In many of the cases, though, we have noticed that there is an issue of parking barons or touts, if you want to use that term, who commandeer parking bays in Harare CBD. And they elect themselves to collect parking fees. And if you don't pay parking fees to them, they intimidate women on the street in terms of drivers, both drivers and parking marshals. It's a general scourge that needs to be nipped in the bud. And we appeal to enforcement agencies like ZRP to come in and really assist, because we do not have arresting powers as a company. And in most cases, these are the instigators of violence whenever you see those incidences. Some of them are nanny drivers who are washing their vehicles. A driver can leave $1 for them to pay, and they don't want to commit the $1 for parking. They try to protect physically the vehicle and end up in violent behavior. But I thank you for your contribution.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Francis. There's also another question or comment in the chat from Glenis. They are saying there is no transparency in this company. Furthermore, it is a breeding ground for corruption, especially when it comes to the enforcement team. I was charged $220 for obstructing at Makombe building in Harare. They then agreed to take $120. Please explain. Thank you.
So thank you. I'm very sorry for the experience Maka ita go through. You know what? To be honest with you, corruption is a reality, and it hurts the entity in terms of our brand when it's said like this, and it also hurts even the service delivery aspects. Though I've highlighted as well in my presentation that in terms of enforcement, city parking is only for now enforcing on bylaws that have to do with payment of parking fees. Whereas the rest of the bylaws are being enforced by the grey uniformed City of Harare Traffic Enforcement Department. So concerning obstruction, it's possible that it might have been City of Harare. However, look, I can boldly speak on behalf of the City of Harare management on this matter and say that it's regrettable. We urge you to report those issues whenever that happens. Just maybe where possible, collect evidence and report the issue. In any case, I'm saying we charge $57 for those offenses, and paying $120 for an offense that is charged $57. Perhaps it's a misnomer, and we don't expect corruption. And also, you know, it takes two to tango. Corruption takes two to tango. If the other party says no, there is no corruption to talk about at the end of the day. But where there is elements of cohesion and seduction to try and induce corruption, please. We have a few cases where it has been reported where a parking marshal receives $1 and they do not receive the dollar, and the vehicle ends up getting claimed. We have evidence where we have acted in terms of our disciplinary process, and we have acted promptly and executed the appropriate charges, including dismissal. So I think the key issue about corruption is, one, to avoid it and to report it, and where it's reported, to follow up on action. And as City Parking, we have acted promptly in the cases that have been reported to us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Another question from in the chat from Guyo. They are saying, what is City Parking doing to improve on markings and signage? Some of the signage is being obstructed by billboards. Also, some parking bays now we have double markings, one from a previous marking and one from a current. The marking are both fading, thus creating endless fights with the marshals.
Thank you. I think that is important feedback. I'm not going to explain everything or defend everything. Where we need to correct, we will correct. I had mentioned earlier that we are going to be marking both the road markings and the bay markings on a routine basis. So I'm sure that will be corrected. And also, I note the issue of signage that needs to be highlighted. It was also highlighted earlier on this week when we were on radio. And we have already initiated processes to deal with that.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Ndlovu, you can quickly fire a question.
Morning once again. We thank him for the responses on our earlier on questions. But we were saying, as entities with a big fleet, it's not practically possible to prepare and to plan all our activities or visits to clients. So we were proposing, thinking outside the box, of a method of ticketing, so that you send us a billing at the end of the month for us to pay. The other methods, we've heard them, but prepayment is complicated for us. So we are proposing for City Parking to think along those lines. Because at times we have drivers coming from other stations outside Harare just to do business there. maybe they will be there for an hour or so visiting 2 or 3 places. So our proposal is for a form of ticketing wherein a bill comes later on. That will be workable for us.
Thank you. I think that can be explored. We currently don't have a structure like that or a platform like that, but we are willing to maybe hear from you and find ways in which we can customize the service for you. So we can take this engagement beyond this platform and explore ways to assist in that kind of scenario. Thank you.
Okay, another question from Nigel Matinde. They are saying, what is the capacity utilization of the packets we have?
In terms of the capacity utilization, currently, Samora Machel is around, it's around 105. It's actually oversubscribed, 105%. Julius Nyerere package is 100%. 4th Street is 90%. So those are the occupancy levels at our packets. I can explain the 105 because you understand if a package is 900 base, for example, and you subscribe 950 vehicles, they obviously don't park at the same time. So that is the current occupancy. So definitely there is need to have more of off-street parking structures. But currently, Julius Nyerere is taking still has some spots and also 4th Street parking lot. In terms of Rufaro Stadium parking, we recently opened and we are still on plus or minus 10% occupancy.
Okay, Alice is also asking in the chat, can we have prepaid parking facilities for corporates that operate outside the CBD, but occasionally get into the CBD for other services?
Yes, noted. I think she's sharing the same views with Zenzele, and I think we will have a sit down and try to customize our service for them. Thank you.
Okay. Aran Kamgerem is also saying, thank you very much for the presentation. Any exemption for government departments to have free parking slots?
Yes, I think government departments are exempted in 2 ways. Firstly, I mentioned the issue of reserved parking bays, which are allocated per each government department. And if I'm not mistaken, the maximum number is 6 bays per each government department. And secondly, government vehicles with white plates, wherever they park, they are exempt from paying parking fees. In the same vein, let me also emphasize that private vehicles of government employees are not exempted from paying parking fees. It's just government vehicles that are exempted. And there are some instances where government hires vehicles from rental companies, vehicle rental companies. A logbook is a government logbook, which is clearly stamped, is admissible for exemption when they park on the street.
Well noted. Graham is also saying in the chat, is seat parking just for Harare, or you have plans to expand this idea to other cities as well, like Mtare, Gweru, Bulawayo, as the name seat parking suggests? Hello, Mr. Francis, are you there?
Hello, sorry. Yes, I'm here. We are not in every city as yet. Currently, we are in Harare and Gwere. But if you can check on the screen, we are going into Shurugwe, we are going into Mashingo. I think maybe Mashingo in the next quarter, in the second quarter of this year, we will start operations in Mashingo and then Bite Bridge. So those are the cities. We are not in Bulawayo. I've heard people ask about Bulawayo. Bulawayo is another entity that is managing there. It's not city parking. So these are the cities that we are currently managing. But of course, we are open for business in terms of partnerships with other local authorities across the country. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Stanford is having a challenge with MASH. They are saying MASH is not responding to high from 952.
Okay. Thank you for the feedback. Fortunately, I have the ICT guy in the room, and you'll be attending to that shortly. Thank you for the feedback.
Okay, thank you so much. Let me check if there are any other questions.
Sorry,
Okay.
I think you can check again. I'm trying it on my phone, and I see it's responding. I don't know, maybe it's a network issue from their end, but I've just checked on it and it's responding.
Okay, I think also Josephine Takundwa, Miss Josephine Takundwa is also having the challenge with MASH as well. So they are saying sometimes the marshals are nowhere to be found. What should we do? Most of the time upon return, you find yourself claimed. What is a reasonable amount of time to look for the marshal? Bearing in mind that we may be going for scheduled appointments.
I think I've stated that we have a 15 minutes grace period. But most importantly, let's use the self-service payment platforms. I think this is where we are going. Let's go cashless. Let's go self-service. It's convenient. But in case you want to make use of our parking marshals for whatever reason, you have 15 minutes grace period to pay for parking. So you can also use the 15 minutes to pay to the next parking marshal if maybe there is no parking marshal, particularly where you have parked.
Okay, well noted. Also another question. What major challenges are you facing as a company operating in Zimbabwe? What current your staff complement?
So there is an issue of the major challenge that we are facing is maybe unfair competition from the street touts, from parking space barons, and also in some instances from perhaps government departments that commandeer parking bays and wake up and say, this is our reserved base, the whole street. You cannot collect from them. So I think we are also trying to reach out, especially to government departments, to say it's bad for business to have a whole stretch of a street blocked for a certain government ministry or department. Where do your clients park when they come to transact with government? Any situation where a whole stretch is reserved or commandeered for something else is not desirable, because that creates inaccessible parking, that creates traffic jam, and it stifles business, because it means that all areas in that area in that street, all businesses in that street cannot have their customers come to park like that. And also, fine, in terms of staff establishment, I think for Harare, it's plus or minus 500 employees. I think we are 540 something to be specific in terms of our staff complement. In Guero, I don't have the figure on my fingertips. It's a joint venture company that is running Guero, joint venture between Guero and Harare. But I would say plus or minus 200 employees in Guero.
Okay, thank you. There's also another issue. There's Jessica Chagwesha. She has a situation with the system. So she's saying at what time will be, at what will be, and what will be happening when you suddenly find the system, say you have unpaid credit from October, and it just pops up now in February when you have been parking all this time and no credit was popping up. What would have happened?
Thank you. I think I would prefer to maybe deal with that case maybe separately, because that's not an ordinary or occurrence. Maybe she can reach out soon after the meeting. I can check and query in the system. But obviously, when we are talking of a parking area, it's an activity that you must acknowledge and that you must know of, because remember I said we issue a parking notice when you park without paying. And when you drive off or without honoring that notice or without paying, it then pops up the next time you park to indicate that you are owing so much. Maybe you were driving the vehicle yourself, or maybe the vehicle was with another driver. I don't know, but we can treat it on a case-by-case basis, and I'm sure she can reach out and we can assist after this meeting.
Okay, that's noted. Also, another follow-up question from Nyon. How much in potential revenue are you losing through land barons or illegal parking?
I would say we are losing a lot. I wish I had brought the figures. We have the figures because there are spaces, for example, like between Nelson Mandela, between Angwa and Second Street. We can hardly deploy them. Between Angwa and First Street, we can hardly deploy them. Also from Nelson Mandela to Angwa to Kwame Nkrumah along Angwa Street, we can hardly deploy them. So you can imagine the kind of revenue leakages that we are experiencing through these parking barons. We have, I should give credit to ZRP. They've tried to deter the activities. However, as long as the efforts are not sustained and they come on an operational basis, I think we'll continue to have the problem. It's really hurting the business. And this is revenue that is otherwise supposed to be coming to council. But that we can hardly collect. But we have a plan, we have a program of action with the ZRP already to try and weed out maybe the offenders.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Francis. Another question from Nancy Bumira. They are saying even downtown truck shop areas can you kindly do something about the parking? It gets so frustrating that most parking bays is cones obstructing, or you end up paying twice, city parking plus street towels.
Thank you. I think that's noted. That's well noted. We'll definitely attend to that. Maybe it's high time we talk about maybe zoning of the parking fee structure, because downtown you can hardly drive that side. It's congested, and I think maybe we need a two-tier tariff structure where we can charge $2 per hour that side, and maybe the rest of the streets remain $1 per hour, or maybe some kind of uh, restrictions in terms of how long you can park there, maybe some time restrictions. But I promise that we will look into that, and we hope to see improvements in that regard.
Okay, another question. There are some areas where we find it difficult to find the parking space, where the space is taken up by mshikashikas and combis. So what are you doing together with City of Harare to curb this?
The issue of Mushikashika and Kombis, I think you will notice in the long list of bylaws that we are going to share that it's mainly handled by the City of Harare Traffic Enforcement Department. But of course, the broader view now and the almost consensus that is there is that maybe city parking needs to come in terms of managing the ranks that are in the CBD, and try to put some semblance of order in that regard. And also maybe even Mbari Musika, there's already a resolution of council to try and manage the bus terminal and the city parking. So I hope that will then allow us to enforce on the issue of combis, because once we start managing the ranks in CBD, it follows that we need also to enforce. And we do have a smart system, really, that allows us to blacklist vehicles. So suppose we are dealing with Mshika Shika, you can just blacklist the vehicle, and then the next time they want to pay their Zinara license, then you can even collect the parking, the offenses, the fines at that point, instead of having running battles, putting the lives of the public in danger. So we are waiting for that. But for now, City of Harare Traffic Enforcement is enforcing on those issues. And I can't come in much on that until and unless we are given mandate to manage that.
Okay, another question from Jessica. She had asked before, she was saying, thank you for your response. Which number can we use to reach out?
Let me share my contact. Let me share my contact or our toll-free lines. Let me share our toll-free lines on the chat. I'll share our toll-free lines shortly.
Okay, it seems like there are no further questions. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for attending today's ZNCC business agenda on seat parking bylaws. We appreciate Mr. Francis from Seat Parking Authority for his informative presentation and answering all our questions. Your active participation has enriched our understanding of these regulations. Let's apply knowledge to create efficient and accessible urban areas. Thank you, all participants. Thank you, and thank you. Meet again in the next business agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us. Bye. Have a great day.